Good morning from North Carolina. We are going on a road trip today for two reasons. The first is I want to test the Audi E-Tron and see how it is as a road tripper. We know the charging curve is really good. It should do 150 kilowatt all the way to 80%. So will that help on trips? The answer is probably yes. The second question is, are we going to be able to charge? Now, I'm not just going on major highway corridors here. I'm not going from here in North Carolina to New York or down to Miami on I-95. We all know this is possible. This is doable. I've done this years ago in a Hyundai Kona electric. We're going to Louisville, Kentucky. And if you know anything about the US, there's no direct highway to bring you to Louisville from here in North Carolina. So I looked at the chargers last night very briefly and I said, I'm not really sure how I'm gonna make it. But you know me, I do not do planning for my road trips. I get in and I just find the next charger when I'm there. So will we run out? Will we make it? Will I have to backtrack? I don't know. It'll be kind of fun. We have 3 or 4 days on this trip. No real schedule, no real plan. We're just gonna go see some friends in Kentucky and Louisville, just south of, and go enjoy the E-Tron. It has massaging seats, which I'll be using the entire time. Let's go jump in and go on an adventure with an Audi E-Tron. Off we go then. Now, if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, all Out of Spec Motoring Out of Spec, you would know that we've been towing with this car. And I've unhooked the towing receiver thingy-majiggy, the ball. You know, I don't really know much about towing, but we towed a whole car with this thing and it was pretty great. Well, it was a smart car, so about a half a car. But it's an amazing tow rig. Although I did pull that out for efficiency because I think we're going to have to stretch some legs of over 200 miles. Keep in mind, this car's only rated EPA 204 miles, but at 70 miles per hour, you get 188 miles is what our test has shown. So if I just drive a little slower, I can go farther. We have tires set to manufacturer suggested tire pressures. We have some luggage back here. I have all my camera equipment, luggage, extra chargers, the whole bit that we could need, and we're ready to go do some exploring in an Audi E-Tron. Okay, now that we're in the E-Tron, let's get everything set up. I've already dialed up efficiency mode of all of the drive modes that you can have. We are obviously going to go efficiency. There is an extra range mode, but we are not going to go into that one. How do I find that? I forget where it is. We are at 100% state of charge. It's predicting 172 miles at full charge. That's just because we've been towing with this car and killing the efficiency. So it's creeping back up on the guessometer. Anyway, we're gonna run AC and Eco. I have a little air-conditioned seat going on right now. Let me kick on a massaging seat. I think I will go for the activation massage at full intensity this morning. That sounds like a great way to start the day. And now let's try to find where we're gonna go for our first charging stop. So we've selected Louisville. It says, do you wanna include charging stations? Yes, let's see how good this trip planner is, if it can figure this out. So I guess it's thinking. That's what that little thing is. That's okay. The Tesla takes time to think as well. Let's see how quickly it can do this and how accurately as well. I can already tell you we're not going to follow this plan because it wants us to go to a regular level 2 chargers. You've got to be crazy, Audi. No way. Finally, one DC fast charger. And yeah, it's planning this trip out at Nissan dealers. That's not cool. I wonder if there's a way I can prioritize. No, I don't think I can adjust the E-Tron route planner. Anyway, that's just not how we're going to do it. So I'm going to cancel that destination and just find them myself and put in the chargers manually. Let's look for our first charging stop. So I've loaded up the good old plug share here, and let's see where we are. We are home in Rocky Mount, and we are going to go west, and I know we need to go west. So these are the two western stations I can think of. Let's take a look. That one's decommissioned. This one is a Electrify America station that, let's see, is under repair, and it says the only one that works is the left side. Lights turned off. Sounds pretty sketchy. We can check the Electrify America app and just see what that station real-time status is. Let's take a look. It does say it's online. It's this one right here, Hillsboro. It says one's available, and it's only 50 kilowatt. Oh, two's available. but I'm not going to sit at a 50 kilowatt charger. They're actually derated. What we'll probably do is head to this station, because it's like right in the middle of Raleigh on the way out. Pleasant Valley Promenade. This is by my old house. I was just there the other day with this car, so I think that will be our first charging stop. Let's head into Raleigh. We'll have plenty of juice, but that's the nice thing about this car, is there is a really good charging curve all the way to 100%. I'll explain when we're at the charger. Let's go to Pleasant Valley Promenade. And welcome to Pleasant Valley Promenade, Electrify America station. Now behind me, you may have seen on the way in, there is a Starbucks. That's why I did not get one on the way out of town. Now I pulled up to this spot in particular because this station here says complimentary session. Now I didn't just know that pulling in. I was here the other day when we were towing with the E-Tron and I found it to be free. So whenever Electrify America stations go offline, they operate in free vend now, which is nice for station reliability. So let's get this thing plugged in here on the CCS. Look at that, just plugged it in. Instant plug and charge, don't even have to touch anything. It just ramps up. It says initiating charge, and we should be good to go. The handshake with the E-Tron takes a while. I don't know why that's the case. It might just be current software of the car actually. Well, let's see what we're doing. If I click this view button, I'll get more charging data. It's so quiet when I close the door in this car. We are at 69% state of charge. I kind of ripped it over here, got everything warmed up. Got pretty poor efficiency. Let's take a look. If I click start, then I can scroll through the menus here. Let's see if I can or not. It may not let me while I'm charging. Yes, I don't think it lets you while you're charging. Never mind. Handshake's done now. Contactor's just clicked. And we should be ramping up here. There we go. 96 kilowatt. Now that's all this charger would output the other day, was about 90, 95 kilowatt. And it should be doing 150 kilowatt right now, but it's free. And normally I wouldn't do this. If we were at a low state of charge, I'd say, you know what, I'll pay for the juice. It's not crazy expensive, 31 cents a kilowatt hour. And, you know, we'll ride the charging curve. But this thing's going to taper in 10% anyway. And 100 kilowatts really not that bad. So I'd say we'll just do it. I got to order Starbucks anyway. By the time I'm done with all that, the car should be nearly full. So I just ordered Starbucks on the mobile app. And I guess it'll take 5-10 minutes to get. No problem. Still doing 97 kilowatt. Let's talk about two different things. The first being the pros and cons of road tripping the E-Tron. The pros, amazing charging curve. This thing will do 150 kilowatt all the way to 80%, like I said. And it at 100% is still doing 55 or 56 kilowatt. You'll have to go to Inside EVs where I did a 0 to 100% charging test. The downside for that charging curve, though, is there's a buffer at the top of the battery that you're not able to access or use. So your battery doesn't degrade as fast. You get really good charging curve. You can charge it to 100% all the time. It doesn't hurt the battery, but you also lose out on that range. But the range isn't bad. Everyone says the range in the E-Tron's poor. It's very thirsty, yes. But in the 70 mile per hour range test, like I had mentioned, we did 188 miles. It's only a little bit less than the Teslas. It's really not a big deal. So I find the range to be more than adequate. I've put, again, about 1,500 miles on this car this week, towing, driving up and down highways, not just pedaling around the city, and I've never had an issue with range. In my area, we also have more CCS chargers than superchargers, so it really works well in Raleigh area to have an e-tron or a Taycan or something like this. The other pros we should go into, it's got an amazing suspension. In eco mode, when you're driving around, it lowers the car into the lowest height, and it does become a little firm, but you are getting range, except on some legs where we know we have the juice to burn. I think I'll run in comfort because it just floats down the road. You don't feel anything. You also have this double planed glass all around the car, this being the Prestige model. It's unbelievably quiet in here. You can hear a pin drop at highway speeds. It's really good. Also, I gotta love these seats. I'm getting a massage every time I drive around. It's such a comfortable car, and the adaptive cruise control and active steering is really good. Its lane centering is just as good as autopilot, I think. It does not do lane changes, which is kind of a bummer, but my Tesla doesn't either because I didn't pay for full self-driving. So there we go, no big deal. And then now we should talk about the downsides. Well, you're kind of relying on a charging network that's being upgraded and getting better, but it's not there yet. And so, like, for example, I'm sitting at an Electrify America station. That one says it's unavailable. I knew this. I just pulled in here so I could charge on this one next to me. Probably not the proper etiquette, but I've only ever seen one other car charging at Electrify America at any location. So EVs are coming and they're upgrading their network, so that's good. But that's where Tesla does really well. You can just put in your destination. It says, here's how you're going to get there. Uses the supercharger network, vertically integrated, plug-in charge. That is where everyone else needs to get to. But 99% of the time, you're not road tripping, unlike me, and the e-tron or a CCS vehicle like Volkswagen ID4 will be fine for most people. This is going on, but I'm going to continue with other negatives here for half a second. The other negative, and it's really only truly the other negative, is it's just thirsty. Cost-wise, not that it's a huge deal, because again, you charge at home for the most part, but you chugging through the juice on this car. At 80 miles an hour, you get about 2 miles per kilowatt hour, or about 500 watt hour per mile, maybe just a little under this. That's pretty thirsty, especially at 31 cents a kilowatt hour. I mean, that's $33, $34 for a full charge on an e-tron. And, you know, you're going to be charging every 200 miles or so. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely adds up. But again, long distance EV charging doesn't really need to be cheaper than gas, in my opinion. Just the overall cost does, and that, you know, factors in most home charging. Anyway, I'm going to run in, get my Starbucks. This has been a 4-minute long clip. Thanks for sticking with me. We're going to have a crazy good trip here in the typical out-of-spec motoring road trip style. All right, we are all charged up. We're at 94%. It's still doing almost 70 kilowatts. That's crazy. We need to plan our next stop. We haven't even done that yet. Let's take a look. Back in the good old plug share world, my favorite. So we're going to get on the other side of Raleigh. All of these stations in Greensboro, this is the Electrify America one. It's under repair for upgrade, so it's totally offline. You can see, you know, not working well. But it will be hopefully good and solid with the new units. These are all car dealerships with 25 kilowatt CCS, so that can be a little misleading. Harley, car dealers, blah, blah, blah. Now, we could just take 40 all the way across, but however, there's no real good charging between here and Asheville without like going to dealerships on these 24, 25 kilowatt CCS units, which I just am not going to do. So what I think we're going to do, the quicker way to do this would be to go up to this road here, which is I-81, and then go down to Knoxville and then up to Louisville. So it's a little bit out of our way, but it will have fast charging the whole way here, and there's a whole bunch of, you know, 150 kilowatt chargers on this route. So to get over there, we got to go to Greensboro, and then to Withville is this one here. Now, I don't think we can make it all the way there, but there is this charger at a Circle K along the way in Dobson, North Carolina. Let's see how many miles away this is. And it's a new charge point, 50 kilowatt unit. They always work. 151 miles away. I say we do that. We can just cruise at 80, 85 miles an hour the whole way there because we have plenty of charge. We're still at 96%. So we'll be able to cruise 150 miles, no problem. Let's rip it to that charge point. Let's get the car unplugged here. All we do is click this little button that will stop charging. We'll wait just a half a second. Now we can unplug. And let's put this back in the unit. Thank you for the free charge. It says thank you, free. That was pretty sweet. And now we are going to leave, of course, the usual Pleasant Valley Promenade and head off to Dobson. Let's do it. We have arrived at Dobson at the charge point right in front of us. So let's get this thing juiced up. Got to grab my phone here. And the thing I love about charge point units is their plug-in charge works so well. Hold on, I got to shut the car off. It will after about 30 seconds. Normally I don't. But for these chargers, it won't let you open up the port, which is super easy. All you do is you just push this little button, flies down. We're gonna open up the DC pins. That's all you gotta do. So I'm gonna pull up my little wallet on my phone, select charge point, tap, that's all I need to do. Take the CCS connection. I love how easy this is. Way easier than Electrify America, I gotta say. And we're gonna just plug it in. These cables are pretty thick and heavy. And that's it, just a tap and charge. That's how it should be. Actually, it should just be plug and charge by VIN recognition, but I'll take this, works well. And this is all from Volkswagen Dieselgate settlement, all of these charge point chargers. The electric cooperatives dipped into the fund and they have built out a network across North Carolina. So we have like 20 of these stations under construction. This one just went online and happened to work well for our trip. It's been about 2.5 hours since our last charge and I have not eaten yet. It's afternoon and we're here at the Circle K and yeah, we're charging up, which is great. I'm gonna get some snacks and some food inside and then after that we'll plan our next charging stop. And one of the cool things about the E-Tron, before I run inside, let me show you this, is its pack voltage is very high. So even dead, it's around 400 volt pack, which means at 125 amps, which is what that charger can output, we're doing 50 kilowatt. So this thing will just sit at 49, 50 kilowatt for the whole charging session until it hits 100%. And that's pretty cool. That works out very nicely. We'll plan our next charging stop in about a minute or two. As we're walking back over to the car here behind me, I thought it was interesting. I asked the people inside if they see a lot of people that use the charger, and they said, what charger? I mean, all you gotta do is just open up the door. It's right here. Yeah, that's what you get in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, though. So they were very interested. They all came outside, looked at it. They're like, wow, we didn't even notice this. I'm like, do you see the proximity? Like, I don't know if they were definitely not messing with me. They were definitely genuine, but I don't know how that's possible. They must exit out on the other side or something. Anyway, we got some beef jerky, of course, some other snacks, some Takis. Very unhealthy snack, but we'll see if we can stop for lunch along the way somewhere. So there's a weird thing to E-Tron, and actually the i3 is the same way and a few other EVs. right now I have the car on, or at least as on as it will let me go when it's plugged in, and I cannot get the air conditioning to turn on. So what I have to do is click this little button down here, click the, is it this one? No, that's how you can choose the fragrance that you would like. And then you got to click this immediate start for auxiliary AC. Now the air conditioning is kicked on and it will cool down the inside. That's a weird little quirk though. Yeah, see, when you try to start it, it just says charger connected. So that's the way you got to do it. And yeah, no big deal. It's just one of the things from ICE cars being transferred. You know, this is all software that Tesla just does so well in, that the others still need a little bit of room and time to catch up. Well, I just got out of the car to stretch my legs a little, and it said an oil change is due in 800 miles. This is the software problem I was talking about. I have a friend who works for Porsche engineering very high up, and he said they have something like 38 software suppliers across Volkswagen Group. They realize this is a problem. I guess they're putting everyone under a new blanket umbrella called Car Software Organization, pulling everyone out, and they'll be down to one that does everything under one roof. That should be pretty good for integration. I think Volkswagen Group's actually taking electrification seriously. They're the best legacy OEM that's approaching the electric problem, I think. Anyway, we're charged up to about 67%. We have enough rated range, or I should say guessometer range, to make it to our next charger. I'm just going to give it another probably 5-minute buffer. We've been here for about 38 minutes, so it's a longer charging stop. This would have been about 10 or 15 minutes at most at a 150 kilowatt charger. So I'm a little disappointed that the North Carolina government, or this rollout, whatever, they're only doing these 50 kilowatt baby stations. On these big cars, you need at least 150 kilowatt, and it really should be 200 plus. This is just almost no use for most people. And yeah, but I mean, at least we're able to charge and get around. It just takes longer. And that's the problem of road tripping here in the middle of nowhere, which is what this trip is supposed to be. It's sort of worst case scenario for an E-Tron or for a big heavy electric car. Of course, we could have gone up I-95 to New York where there's 1,350 kilowatt chargers and made it there instantly. But this is really starting to push the problem a little bit farther. So yeah, let's give it another couple minutes, head out and go to Bristol, Virginia. And it is time to unplug and go. I actually got held up on a call with Zero Motorcycles. My friend over there, Dan, he gave us some embargoed info. Basically, they're partnering with Polaris. I think I can say all this because this video is going live after the embargo lifts. And we're gonna see some electrified snowmobiles and other power sports from Zero with Polaris. That is so cool. So I'm going to click the little button down here. I've stopped charging. I'm gonna pull out the port, put it back on the charge point. I believe it's the CPE 250. That cost us $12. We were here, we gained 46 kilowatt hours and 27 cents a kilowatt hour. We were here for 56 minutes. It's a long charging stop, and we have plenty of range to burn on the way to Bristol. Let's get in and go. We have some steep grades coming up here, and one of the things that this system does is anytime the speed limit changes, it drops to that speed limit. I'm sure there's a way to adjust, but that's just the way this car is set. We have some crazy incline here. I should have accounted for this. We're okay. We have 130 miles projected, 107 miles to go. That's what, 21, 22 miles difference. And so let's see how that changes after this big incline. I assume the Audi compensates and thinks about elevation. It says we're going to get to our destination with 12% state of charge, and I guess we'll find out. I think worst case, we can always slow down and make some more range, but we should be totally fine. I have plenty of buffer. It'll be interesting to see how this guessometer accounts for the elevation, or if this is already counting for the elevation because of what's in our trip here. And I believe the only reason I say that is one time I put in a navigation and this number jumped quite heavily. I can't remember if it was up or down, but I'm pretty sure it was because it knew the roads we were going to be on, and that's really smart. So this may have already accounted for our big elevation gain here. I guess we'll find out. We are now on the other side of the hill, and I do think that our predictive range calculation, our guessometer, is based off of your navigation input, because it pretty much, this has been going down about 1 mile for every mile we've traveled. It's pretty accurate since I'm driving fairly consistently. And our distance to empty, I mean, that split's a little bit bigger now, but it did not drop when we went up that hill, and it didn't gain that much when we went down the hill. So I'd say that was pretty impressive, pretty cool. Nice that it factors in elevation. We have arrived in Bristol at the Electrify America station. Let's get the app lined up. We're going to load up the Electrify America app. We are going to select Bristol. I can see that I'm parked in front of charger number 3. 1, 2, 3. It says unavailable, but it looks pretty good from here. Let's swipe to start. Yes, it recognized. It says please plug in, and now we will plug in the car. So let's turn it off. Oil change, of course, that is fixed in new software. I actually talked to Audi about it. I reached out, I said, what the heck? And they said it is fixed, and this car just hasn't received the software yet. So let's grab the connection. This is a 350 kilowatt unit. Normally, if it was busy here, I'd only take the 150 because that's all this car can take, but there is no one here, so we may as well just use the 350. And I also love this sight design. Take a look at this. Absolutely cool. If you have a trailer, you can just pull right through. On either side, you can come in from this way or go that way. This is such a great site layout. I hope we see more and more of these like this. And take a look, we are plugged in. It's about as simple as it is. You swipe in the app, connect the car, and then it's got a really long handshake process. That's not on I'm pretty sure that's on the Audi, because every charger I plug it into, I guess, even the charge point ones, it takes a little while. No battle damage yet. The car's looking pretty good. It's a little dirty, a little brake dust here or there. It's a heavy car, of course. You use the brakes. It does have a lot of regen, but everything is looking nice, and we're going to have ourselves a really fast charge. And we just kicked on. Here we are in a per minute state. In Virginia, they still haven't signed the paperwork, Electrify America, to do it by kilowatt hour. It's actually cheaper this way, so I'm fine with that. We're going to do a pretty, probably an 80% charge at least. If we can get 150 kilowatt into the car, there's no reason to leave early. So we're going to let this thing rip on through. It's charging now. That handshake takes forever. And yeah, everything is pretty great. Love the E-Tron. Such a great luxury car to cruise around in. And I have no idea what our next stop is, so we'll look in a minute. Oh, I was also going to say, this last leg that we just drove on was pretty good. It had way better efficiency than I thought. We arrived with 25% state of charge or so. Yeah, 24% state of charge, and it was predicting 50 miles on the guessometer at 24%, which means if I drove how I did, which was kind of in dense traffic, a lot of aero advantage with trucks pushing wind out of the way, you can get a true 200 miles out of this car easy. And I was doing 70, 75, allegedly, sometimes more. That was great. That was the most efficient run I've had in this car, including the hills. So that was impressive efficiency. And again, I swear, with this charging curve, it might actually be a faster road tripper than a Tesla. That handshake kind of lets it down though. It's probably a good 2 minutes. And you can see here on the screen, we're juicing up 141 kilowatts. We've already added 2 kilowatt hours to the car. And yeah, I think this is one of the first installations here at this unit. These are the first generation, maybe not the first generation, but these are Signet units, but they're not the new Signet units. So this might be one of the early ones. And yeah, no, pretty cool. I like the new ones better though, but that's just a visual thing. This charging session is just rocketing along. We've only been here about 10 minutes. We're already up to 55% and no signs of slowing down. Gotta love that charging curve. Let me show you where our next charging stop is. It looks like it's a pretty easy drive from here on out. So we are here in Bristol, and then we can go to Louisville, and like you can go across this way, although even the fastest way to travel is just go down the highway, avoid the mountains, take the fast route, and then up and over into Louisville. And what we're going to do is we're going to charge up here till as soon as it tapers. Once we pull off 140 kilowatt, we're unplugging and leaving, and we're going to go to this Knoxville charger right here. Now it is actually, let me just look, looks like it is a little bit off our highway. So our other option is to stay here a little bit longer and do a 180 something mile stretch up to this charger. Now it's only 155 miles if I go straight across, so I know I can make that no problem. So what maybe I'll do, we'll have to see how I'm feeling, is to do a short charge here and then maybe a quick top up at one of these. There's an EV Go. There is this one not too far down the road, just another charge point one. It's a 62.5 kilowatt. We'll have to see how the car's efficiency is looking, but if it's similar to last route, we'd be able to absolutely make that on one full charge, but I don't want a full charge here. We're just going to go to 80, 85% or so, and then we will figure it out. We got plenty of options. We'll see how it goes during the drive. But yeah, we're just ripping this charging session. We just gained 5% making this one clip. Pretty amazing. Okay, so at 75%-ish or so, it tapered off top charge, and it went down to about 130 kilowatt. Whoa, big taper there. But I think what we're going to do is that Knoxville charger is just past where we need to make our exit up to go to Kentucky. And so I think we're going to go to almost a full charge here, and then we're going to top up at the next charger down the road just for a little bit, just to get that bump so we can do the stretch up to that Kentucky charger. And that's probably the fastest way to do it. As soon as we dip below 62 kilowatt here, which will be at like 95, 98%, it's probably only in another 5 or 6 minutes. Then we'll go to that charger. We're guaranteed, again, 62 kilowatt at that charger. Plug in, charge this thing up just enough to pull into that 150 kilowatt station dead, and then ride the charging curve again. And the thing is, there's so many chargers, it's just optimizing the ones that we're using is sort of the fun challenge here, but it does make it difficult for normal drivers. Yeah, that's a little bit tedious, but fun for me. I enjoy it. Let's top up here till we're below 62 kilowatt and then get out. And here we are at 95% at 61 kilowatt. Let's unplug and go to Van Hill Road. So this is going to be kind of a short leg, something I'm not totally used to doing, but I'm kind of looking forward to just charger hopping. So our goal here is to not burn so much juice on the way to this charger. We're just going to charge up. Again, we'll see just enough to get to the charger in Kentucky, this leg, at this next charger, and from there we can start ripping it up. So let's go. Well, that was a quick and easy trip over. Oh, the cables are routed behind this thing. Someone put the cable back wrong on this unit here, but no matter, we can pull it around. We can get it plugged in. Oh, I gotta pull the pins down. I gotta put the phone down for a half a second to get this thing in. Here we go. And now we are plugged in and charging. Well, we will start charging after that incredibly long handshake. What a quick and easy trip. Just kind of cruised over here. Was on the phone for the most of it. Very nice. We're just going to charge up just a little bit, maybe 10% battery, because I think I could have actually made it to the next charger with our current charge remaining if I just kept it slow and steady. So we're just gonna make sure this charger works, just share on plug share that yes, it's all good. And then we are going to run, but we don't need to stop him. We don't need any snacks. We are now charged up to 82%, 61 kilowatt. I think we've only been here for like 5 minutes maybe. And I think it's time to go. Plenty of juice. Man, 62 kilowatts, not bad, not bad, but the 50s are just a little slow. So we click that little button, should release the charging handle. There we go. I'm gonna move this, put it up the right way rather than around back for whoever put it. I believe the cable should go around front. I love these units. They've always worked, never had an issue on them. Let's jump in the car and head to Kentucky. All right, it's raining and we have plugged in. A lot of comments always ask, why don't charging stations have overhead canopies? It costs a lot of money, I guess, but it would be nice for these rainy days. It's usually not a problem. We're plugged into number 2. It's a 350 kilowatt again. I guess I could have plugged into this one as well. It doesn't really matter, no one's here. And there's another 350 kilowatt station that's open. And now we are just communicating and going to do that long handshake now. Ooh, very nice, guys. It's another per minute state, 24 cents. You might be wondering why I'm excited that it's a 24 cents per minute state. Well, not really excited, but you know, it's always good. Because the E-Tron charges so fast, it's cheaper when it's per minute because the charging curve is great. And so it's actually about half or less, maybe a quarter of the cost to charge than it is in states where Electrify America charges by the kilowatt hour. However, I'm a big proponent of charging by the kilowatt hour because it's more fair. In these cases, you know, a Taycan owner that can charge really fast isn't getting a better deal than someone who has a Mini Cooper SE, for example, that can only charge at 50 kilowatt. And certainly Electrify America has tried to limit this with pricing tiers, but just paying for the kilowatt hour for the energy you take, that's the way to do it. I am in full agreement with this. So yeah, doing 140 kilowatt right now at 19%. It'll just sit here all the way. And I think I might run into Walmart if the rain lets up for a minute and use the restroom, maybe get a little booster of Red Bull perhaps, just to wake up a little bit more. But yeah, very relaxing trip. Everything's great. And yeah, I definitely could have made it here without stopping at that last charger. I had a feeling I could, but I keep underestimating the efficiency of the E-Tron. We have arrived at 19%. That's so unlike me. If you guys watch any of my other videos, you know I arrive at 2%, 3%. Well, I also know my Model 3 really well. I'm still getting acquainted with the E-Tron for trips, but better to be safe than sorry. But man, 20%, that is like, that's not the out of spec way. I need to start pushing this thing a little bit more. This is a pretty typical Electrify America install. Again, using these older units that they no longer install. I think they've been updated with the new ones. Pretty windy out here, of course, at a Walmart. And I feel like I've been to every Walmart in the Southeast. We have been charging for 16 minutes and we've already added almost 40 kilowatt hours. We're still pegged at 144 kilowatt, just maxing this thing out. Gotta love it. This is probably going to be our last charging stop. It's 183 miles. The rain means we will get a little bit less efficiency, but I'm just going to charge up to probably 95, 97%. I like our little range bubble that they give us. This is how far we can go on one charge. The i3 does this, the Leaf does this, a few cars do this, and then we'll be off to our destination outside of Louisville. So all seems pretty good to me. We're just going to do a deep charge here, head over to the house, and then of course you're going to stick with us because this isn't the end of the trip. This is just the end of day one. We got a lot more to do. Well, this charging session just blew right by. I hadn't even been paying attention. We're at 98%. The car's still doing 53 kilowatt, which is amazing. I'm just going to let it complete at 100 and then we'll get out of here. 190 miles projected on the GOM and we're not fully charged. So this is truly a 200 mile highway range vehicle if you drive it somewhat sensibly. If you drive like me, you get probably 180, 185, as long as you're following trucks. The reason I think our 70 mile per hour range test was so poor is because I purposefully don't follow vehicles for aero advantage. And I think this car is very much aero compromised. So when you have trucks and cars pushing the air out of the way, you get significantly more range. And yeah, we're just going to complete up all the way, 183 miles to our destination, and we're at 99% state of charge, and that'll be it. I am so impressed, and I know I keep saying that, but it's very difficult to convey how different this is from road tripping my Tesla, but also how nice and refreshing. I don't want to say it's better. I wouldn't want to have one or the other. I kind of like having both around. That's why we love having our i3 for certain stuff. I like using the CCS network. I'm not a Tesla or nothing guy, and I'm not a guy against Tesla. I just like to see what everyone's doing, and Electrify America, Volkswagen Group, and Audi in this case seem to be doing well. It's been great for this trip. It's been no issues. The only thing I would say is the chargers aren't spaced perfectly for me to optimize the charging in this car. Unlike a supercharger on a main corridor where I can just hop from one to one to one, I'm kind of going a weird route anyway, so it's not really the charging network's fault. If I was going to New York or Miami, it would be fine, but this route's a little weird. We have just completed charging at 100%. Let's get this thing unplugged, and then we are going to hit the road. Nice amenities around here. Hit this button. Of course, we're at a Walmart, if you haven't figured it out. Push this button, pull this out, and put this here. Actually, I don't even think I had to hit the button on the Audi. It just auto does it. That goes there. It says thank you very much, 74 kilowatt hours. I saved $3 for being a member. That cost 10 bucks per minute. Of course, it would have cost a lot less if I went to 80%. I just ran the charging curve. And now the rain's just starting to pick up. And it's time to back out of here. Here we go. And we have made it to our destination with 13 miles remaining. These headlights are just incredible on this E-Tron, so bright, and we don't even get the cool Matrix ones in the US. Well, we do, but we don't get the full functionality that they can do. It can do some incredible things in Europe, like put your navigation instructions right on the road in front of you. I wish we had better FMVSS in this country. Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards. Anyway, 13 miles remaining, pretty good stretch. I think full charge was definitely the right move because it could have rained the whole way, but we made it no problem, and I drove totally normally and just ripped up some great mountain roads around here. You can see when the battery gets low, even in S, it doesn't let you enter boost mode. You only get limited performance. But we'll pick this trip up after a full charge, and tomorrow we'll be heading off somewhere else. Have a good night.